Wonderful. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Oh, actually, that was quite timely. Jamie, that's fine. Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Ammar and
Jalf.
live on our weekly radio show right here on Spice FM.
Each week we bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
We will be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
Yeah, we can help. Gosh, yeah, Friday the 16th of August. Summer holidays are coming to an end. It felt as if they were just starting not that long ago. Jeff?
Yeah, time flies, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I don't know how many people are having fun, but yeah, we've missed the radio shows for a couple of weeks in the midst of, and look what happens. I went away and there was riots.
Well, you see, we needed you to make sure that you would have been the conduit between the EDL and the what's the other group? The opposition of the EDL, and
brothers.
Yeah.
The brothers.
Well, no,
brothers
it wasn't.
And sisters.
No, it was. I mean, we had there's a gentleman that I follow on, and he's called Eddie, and he was there doing videos off both sides. The group that was actually stood on the big market, part of the EDL. There was about 200 of them, and then the other group was outside of on Newgate Street, and there was a lot more there. But it wasn't just it wasn't just brown faces. It was a lot of English anti-racist people that were. The interviews that Eddie was conducting and the conversations that he was having with those from the EDL, I thought some of the conversations was really sensible as well, because they do have some even in terms of where their taxes are going on, and this. Well, hold on.
You're breaking up a little bit there, Jalf. Is someone using your Wi-Fi?
I think so. Is it not working?
No, it's fine now. It's just like really, really impacted a little bit. I thought it was.
No. So he there was balanced arguments from both, and I think they were saying that this is not it's a protest. We're protesting, and I think they do have a right, but a non-violent protest. But then the numbers were very, very small. But then there was some of them that began to stay off our streets in ABC, and that's when it started to get a bit messy. So it's a matter of it was a damn squib in Newcastle, because the fear that people had, it was absolutely outrageous. That shops were covered and boarded up and everything, which was just OTT. I mean, the protest was at 9.
Okay. Well, you say that, Jalf, right? So just to try and unpick this, and actually you make a very critical point, and it's a really important. And I think it's important that we talk about this, certainly until our extra special guest comes on, and then we can probably make things a lot more entertaining. But I think it's really, really important that we talk about this on a number of points. But first and foremost, the backdrop to everything, right? So the backdrop to all of this is there has been an issue with asylum and migration, right? It hasn't been dealt with or addressed effectively. Right, for a number of years now, right? Asylum, migration policies have really had a a significant impact on the whole of the UK. And a lot of the time, migrants and in particular asylum seekers and refugees are placed into the most deprived areas, right?
Mhm.
Because it's the cheapest and that's where social housing is and whatever else. So for years that's been going on, right? That then creates its own systemic challenges and issues. But even things like millions of pounds being spent on asylum seekers being held in hotels instead of improving the process, right? So you've got asylum seekers congregating, hundreds of them in densely populated areas. They're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to assimilate. They're not allowed to integrate. And a number of these legitimate asylum seekers, because I don't doubt there's illegitimate ones, but a number of these are highly skilled, highly qualified engineers, doctors, whatever it is, and they're not allowed to work, right? So that's a big issue. The whole way we have dealt with asylum and migration and immigration and refugees um, is is not as good. In fact, it's incredibly poor. So that's one thing. Second thing is the severe social spending cuts, right? So cuts in services. So local authority, public spending, whether it's buses, whether it's spending on doctors, whether it's wages, whether it's all of that, that then adds to it as well, right? So you've got really poor policies and dealing with asylum and refugee. You've got a significant cut in services. And then the third one is misinformation.
Mm.
You've got so much misinformation, right? All of a sudden, it was, these three poor kids killed in Southport, and all of a sudden it became a religious and a migrant issue as opposed to a person.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, right? Because for as long as I can remember, if an ethnic person does something right in the and all of a sudden and their religion is Muslim, right? They're Islam. It becomes Islamic individual or a Muslim person does that. Yet
Mm.
I've never seen a headline that says Catholic,
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 Christian, Protestant,
Christian,
Jew.
all of that,
Yeah.
and all of that. So
But that's all part of
um,
the.
so all of those things, are the backdrop, and we need to do something with that. But the second thing here is Jaff, is that um, you know politics, politicians have normalized abnormal behavior, right?
Mhm.
So Nigel Farage, whatever you think of him, actually I've historically not had too much of an issue with him. He spoke quite well. Some of the things that he said actually made sense. I certainly don't agree, and my views changed of him quite significantly. Because if leaders and people in leadership are seeing things, then people underneath them and people in communities, it allows for um, it allows for people to go, well, that if they can say that, why can't I?
Mm.
Right? So it actually increases racism and racist behavior, and that's what we've seen. We've seen a catalyst, um, um, a catalyst of or a pot of lots of different issues coming in and spilling out. So the areas that the riots took place, Jalf. Sunderland, Hartlepool, Middlesbrough, Northwest, all of these are actually, sadly, I'm saddened to say Sunderland's one of the most racist places, in the Northeast. Full stop.
Well,
That's a matter of fact.
thing in the world.
Sorry.
In the world, man.
Well, and I'll tell you what's incredibly sad about it is if you remember, Jeff, I had businesses there about 12, 13 years ago. I'd invested and piled in and plowed. I created one of the best places for a night out from a leisure perspective. And it was like, what? You're creating this here? And it was anyway. So but when I was there, the the council, the football club, the university, all of the stakeholders came together, right? And there was at that level, at the leadership stakeholder level, there was this real passion. And up until that time, I'd primarily engaged with and sat on various boards in Newcastle, and I was embarrassed at how good that partnership was, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, everyone just wants to make Sunderland the greatest place it can be. But there was such a disconnect between the people at the top and the rest of the community, right? And all that's happened, as far as my observation is that, so out of all of the Northeast, Sunderland has had billions of pounds worth of investment. It's got the shiniest buildings. It's got the most beautiful cultural places. It's got so many wonderful people at the top. And a lot of the investment's gone into trying to address some of the migration issues. So what people, the local community, have seen is a lot more happening for ethnic minority people, but not necessarily for them. Right? So all of a sudden, these you can't you don't create a community, you don't regenerate a place unless the people of that place are involved in it, unless you change what they think, what they believe, what they feel. And sadly, that hasn't happened. That hasn't happened in that place. The next place that's had the most level of investment is Middlesbrough. Once again, division, right? Now, if you and the point that you were making was went over the top. Well, actually, if you think about it, what happened in Sunderland, what happened in Middlesbrough, what happened in Hartlepool, right? It was bubbling, 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 and then all of a sudden, it just blew the top, and so many people sort of said, "Enough's enough. We don't know what we're fighting." A lot of the people got caught up in it, and whatever it is, wrongly so. I bet you 3 weeks ago, Jack, half of the people that got arrested would never have thought about getting arrested or getting involved in whatever they did, right? It was like it got normalized. The politicians, the ADL, the Tommy Robinsons, these people, look at what these people have done. But actually, it was people complaining about, lack of opportunity, lack of support, lack of services. That's what all that was a demonstration of. It was just channeled towards ethnic minority people, right? So then all of a sudden that happens, and the response to it is like that, right? Right, you're getting sent to jail for 3-4 years, but I only sent a message on Facebook.
Yeah, it's right? Ridiculous, man.
Right. So consequently, what do you think has happened is the people who might have legitimate concerns are now really uncomfortable with saying anything. And then the originally all of the white people were emboldened, yes, let's stand up for patriotism, get our country back. And then it's shifted from that to ethnic minorities going, okay, I'm peaceful, but it's all about like now it's the pendulum's literally done that to that to that. So I'm sat here thinking, yes, the reactions might have been a little bit over the top, but in essence, if I looked at what had happened the week before, I would be concerned. My daughter her nursery closed, she couldn't go to work. You know, that like everything was like, and you're right. It may hindsight's a great foresight, but up until then, you know, people were out getting stabbed, people were getting beaten up. Like, you know, Asian people all over the country were really, really scared. And actually, I don't think that's gone away, right? What I do think has happened, and I do think we really need to try and address is we need to allow for and encourage people to be able to have, like, there needs to be a freedom of speech. And it's because of that freedom of speech that all of a sudden we're just forcing things underground, is what we're doing.
Mm. Well, the freedom of speech, the so-called one of the biggest values of the Western world, the freedom of speech, it seems to be they're going after freedom of speech. If if you retweet something, then you can get arrested for it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then they're saying if there's anything that's misinformation, well, how many honest politicians are there, Ma, that give you honest information? So maybe the arrest needs to begin with the politicians, because they're the ones that not honestly telling us everything. So if that should be where the example begins. But freedom of speech, no one should be inciting violence. But in terms of freedom
Well,
of
no one should be, but actually, we should be able to. I should be able to say why. You know, I was sat there thinking, and actually, we've got our guest coming on in a minute. I was sat there thinking, you know, what is the outside world? What does this look like, or what does this look like to somebody? Because I loved the fact that the whole community came together. There was a auntie or uncle demonstration or whatever it was, and things, you know, and everyone came out. I'll tell you what I was slightly concerned about was all of a sudden these anti-demonstrations then had flags of Palestine, then had LGBTQ, then had unions, then had and I think you know, going back to that pot of mixed messages. And what's a real shame is all, and I've said this for so long, and we've said this for so long. What's a real shame is for such a long time, you cannot be sat on a fence, right? You cannot say, actually, I don't want to be that, and because I don't want to be that, I'm consequently that. So if someone's got an issue with, you know, sort of J.K. Rowling, if all of a sudden she's got an issue with gender identification, you know, she's now against every LGBTQ person in the world and all of that. That's not quite true. You know,
yeah.
I don't think she wants to intentionally offend anybody, but
Mm.
we need to be able to have those conversations. And I think that's really, really important, is what it is. So, um, anyway, we're going to be bringing on. I just want to change the narrative a little bit because Charlotte is in the waiting room, and we're going to hear from Charlotte. And interestingly, Charlotte had um, Charlotte had interviewed me at a few months ago, and it was more of an interrogation. So it was like she asked me about um, my childhood experiences, and I talked about, you know, skinheads. I talked about getting chased through Lisa's Park. I talked about Shane and his Alsatian. I probably didn't give his name away, but they lived across the road from us on Beaconfield Street, and they used to set the Alsatian on us. And I remember me and my elder brother getting chased through Lisa's Park and jumping up a tree. And I remember even us having the shops at Pitt Street, and Pitt Street's across the road from Murray House, and it was
Yeah.
like a gauntlet. It was like the gauntlet of terror because the kids would be stood around outside and you'd
Yeah.
get beaten up. You'd have to dodge them trying to get into Murray House
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
for, you know, a community centre thing. All of these experiences that I thought were in the past,
Yeah.
they're all happening now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't they?
They certainly are. I mean, the stories of Murray House, it's incredible how the community center where we would go and play sports and get together had to be in the roughest states out there that we have to.
It goes to show, doesn't it, Jack? It goes to show that the point around you would always place like migrants and immigrants in the most deprived, disadvantaged, disenfranchised areas. Look at when the Bangladeshi community was like brought into Newcastle, where were they placed? Where did everyone go? Elsick, the most racist place in Newcastle. You know, where was the mosque allowed to set up? In Elsick.
Yeah.
Right? And there was never any effort put into assimilation, bringing people in together, whatever it is. And that's crazy.
But I think it is. But then I think the community leaders probably took more initiative than the authorities, and that's why it's still relatively harmonious, apart from the incidents that were there. I'll take your credit to the leaders.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, let's get Charlotte on. She's been waiting patiently for quite some time, and I'm keen to have a conversation. You're going to love Charlotte, Jalf. She's probably one of the most genuine, authentic, and nicest persons I've come across for a very long time. So good morning, Charlotte. Thank you for sitting in the waiting room, patiently, impatiently. I don't know how you were, but let's kick off with seeing a very warm welcome, Charlotte, and let's start by asking, who are you, what do you do, and why do you do it?
Hi, Ammar. Thank you so much for having me on. I was sitting patiently, but yeah, really interesting, the things that you were talking about. So I am Charlotte Nichols. I have a PR agency called Harvey and Hugo, named after my two border terriers. It's been running now for 15 years. The agency has outlived poor Harvey. Hugo's 16 now, and he's still teetering about, doing okay. We offer services to help amplify your voice and to get your messages heard, which is really relevant to the topic that you were talking about at the minute. We believe everyone's voice should be heard within reason, you know, as long as no harm's caused. And we do kind of traditional PR, digital PR, social media, content marketing, video, podcasting to help our clients share their voice.
Amazing.
Yeah. And what about you, Charlotte? I mean, I'm one of your biggest fans. I think I might be your biggest fan, actually.
I love it.
And because you're just a really nice person, and I think that comes across through your business ethics, and I know certainly that Jalf would want to have a conversation with you on some of his projects after this call, no doubt. But tell us a little bit about you. What got you into PR? Why did you choose that? And what makes Harvey and Hugo special?
Well, it's a really interesting question because, you know, sometimes you set up businesses and you don't really dig too much into the why at the time. It's just like, because I'm doing it and I love it and I think I could maybe do better on my own. But I did a lot of that soul searching and digging. Last year I turned 40, so it was a big birthday and it made me question all sorts of things about my life. And one of them was like, why do I do what I do? Why am I so passionate about that? And I think it was because I was so painfully shy growing up. I always knew what I wanted to say, but I just couldn't get the words out. And I think having shared that experience now, a lot of people feel the same. Unfortunately, I don't have that problem now, which sometimes I have the opposite. I wish I could hold my tongue a little bit. But and I think it's that knowing how painful it is to want to say something, but either not sure how, not sure which way is the best way to say it. It means that I chose a business in PR, which is all about sharing people's messages, communicating. And I think it is such a tragedy if someone has something to say, again, in a nice and harmless way, as long as it's not, you know, anything that's going on that you've talked about so far, any of the violence. I think it's important for people to do that. It's a very cathartic experience. And I think by bottling up that sometimes it stops people from being who they want to be.
Wonderful. Charlotte, you don't know Jalf, do you?
I don't.
Okay. Jalf, do you want to say who you are as well? Because actually,
Oh,
I don't even know if
not
our
really.
listeners know who you are. But given the fact that you've been here for 15 years doing this show, but
Charlotte, are you based in Newcastle?
I'm in Darlington. So
In
keep that
Darlington.
a bit against me.
Okay. And the scope of type of clients that you have, do they spread around the area that you reside, or?
Everywhere. The majority around the Northeast. But we do have clients throughout the whole of the UK, and we even have some international clients as well.
Amazing. And is it just yourself, or do you have a small team that works with you?
I have a small team. There's about 8 others of us, and we've got specialists in kind of all the areas that we work in. So we've got Ian, who's our wonderful PR manager, really experienced, being kind of like chief editor at various publications. We've got Shannon, who's the video, graphics, and social media, Charles in social media, digital, and then the team of relationship managers, business development.
Amazing. And has that team just grown over the years, just based on the needs of your business and the different sections or different departments or areas that you feel you needed to recruit within?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's something that a lot of businesses face sometimes. We started off purely PR. And this is back, 2009, where there wasn't, social media was just starting out in terms of its business commercial use. We were quite quick off the mark in terms of that. We embraced that as a PR tool because we believe PR is all about building trust and credibility. And then, as video became popular, we hired someone in on that as well. You do sometimes question, should I just purely stick to the traditional form of PR? But I think we had to embrace it. And certainly within my capabilities, I couldn't do that without bringing on board experts. So it's grown, for being around 15 years, we have been a slightly bigger team in the past, but it's about finding the right people, as I'm sure you know, you've got to have the right quality. And yeah, it's been a tough couple of years out there in the agency world.
Yeah. So do you class yourself as a PR agency or a marketing agency? And does PR fall below marketing? So is marketing the big umbrella where PR falls within?
That's such a good question, Jeff, and it's argued all around the world all the time.
I would argue that. I would argue that.
So what we say, PR is an element of the marketing mix, the wider marketing mix. The PR element, we always say PR is the secret sauce that you add into a campaign to help boost your awareness. No one can do business with you if they don't know about you. They're not aware of your business, your products, your services. But then this is where PR comes in. No one will do business with you if you don't have that trust and credibility. So they can know about you, but if you don't have the trust and credibility, which PR adds to all the marketing activity, then they're not going to work with you.
Yeah, amazing, brilliant answers. I mean, we love marketing and the importance of marketing. I'm a restaurateur. We have restaurants in the city in Newcastle, and I think the marketing element of it is so important, because I mean, we launched a restaurant without spending a penny on marketing, and it was all just based on word of mouth and how good your content is, and what the brand is all about, the look and feel and the presence that it holds, and how it can then make an impact in the market. And we feel often really proud that if you can get all of the marketing correct, then it all speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's interesting what you said there about not spending a penny, because I think people sometimes hear that and they think, oh, well, I don't have to. But then you've just said that you did everything right. You've probably spent a lot of time, making sure everything was just right. And the power of social media these days, especially for restaurants, the leisure industry, is critical. And I'm sure you do all that right.
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to have gaps where we can develop, and it's just a matter of resource and adding the right people for the areas that you need, and things they move on so quickly. So you do need a videographer, you need a photographer, and obviously because we're just in-house, you develop connections with great people around your network, and who fill particular roles and work towards creating that kind of content that you need to get out there. And it needs to be constant and consistent, because if it's not, then somebody else is going to be constant and consistent. And
it's so right.
have more presence than what you have. So it's an ongoing battle, isn't it? So
You're so true. And so many people give up because they think, oh, I've tried marketing, I've sent a few stories out to the media, but it is that consistency which is critical, and that compounding effect of consistency over time. And you also mentioned relationships there. Relationships are a critical part to PR. And we help people develop those relationships, whether it's relationships with the media, relationships with their direct customers, relationship with any other stakeholder.
yeah, brilliant.
I think all three of us are incredible advocates and appreciative of the importance of marketing. Charlotte, Jalf studied it. It was his bag, so he appreciates it and uses it quite well. But I've realized, and it's funny, for the last sort of 15, 20 years, we've been developing and delivering lots of programs and business support programs. And the one key bit of advice that I give to entrepreneurs and business owners in particular is go out and get the best support you can. So whether you can afford it or not, because the vast majority of time, people will go, all right, and I use my late mum's analogy of, we had property, and she'd always go, all right, well, I'm going to get someone, I'm going to pay them the cheapest. I want to get the cheapest person. Or actually, I can try and do this myself. And everybody watches a YouTube video, and everybody can, oh, well, I know how to do Facebook, and I know how to do that. But then you realize that by using cheap, it doesn't last very long, and the quality isn't great. Actually, it doesn't get the results that you need or want. So getting the best you can and using the best you're able to allows you're getting good quality. B, the likelihood is you're only going to need that organization or individual or expert, and the return on investment a lot of the time is far better than that constant cheap element. So Charlotte, talk us through some of your work. What's like the highlight? What's the biggest and the best thing? Without, I imagine you've done so many big and best things, but what stands out? What one or two things stand out?
Definitely, just to add to your point you made, yeah, it's definitely about quality, and it's it's so important when it comes to your reputation. You can't afford to take any risks. You sometimes only get one chance to get it right. But AI at the minute, people are using that, thinking that it's fine, and it's not. It's very clever tools, and it can help time efficiency, but it can't build relationships like humans can at the moment, which is critical to PR. So yes, that's important, and thanks for plugging outsourcing to professionals. We've worked on some amazing campaigns over the year. One of my favourite was with Gareth Bale when he was just starting out. We had a client called Kinesio tape, which was the tape that we see a lot of athletes these days wearing it. And he was one of the first. So we signed him up as an ambassador. We went down to, I'm a Newcastle fan, but we went down to Spurs Lodge, and I still found it very exciting. And yeah, I got to interview him, and we had a photographer there taking some shots for the advertising campaign, met quite a few of the other players there as well. And it was just, it's just interesting with PR. You just never know what type of client you're going to work with. Yes, we all have niches, and that kind of was one of ours, purely because from a passion for enjoying sport and football. Other campaigns, right? This might sound quite mundane, but sometimes the best projects we work on are like mundane objects. For example, a container company, and it's changed its name and everything now. But we developed this, it was called Mobile Mini at the time. It's not anymore, so I don't feel like I'm giving them a plug. And I wouldn't mind giving them a plug. But we developed this Mobile Mini Spotted campaign all around the UK, where people were sending in pictures of, boring containers, but it's like doing selfies in front of them, getting their dogs involved. And it was so much, it doesn't sound fun, I'm not doing it any justice, but it really was. And it got great results for customers and for Mobile Mini at the time. So we really enjoy, give us a mundane product, give us a mundane service. And by mundane, that's doing it disservice, because they're often critical services that are overlooked, or critical products in our life. And we love bringing them to life, being as creative as possible, to help build that relationship with their customers, the media, But yeah, we've worked with international aviation companies, a lot in the finance sector, construction. We've got a really lovely septic tank business at the minute that we work with, which again, it sounds really dull and a bit boring, but it's about what it stands for, the values behind it. And with that, it's all about the environment. And so that's Premier Tech. We've got a Myco, a meat-free company. They're using vertical farms, growing mushrooms, to make plant-based burgers and sausages. Again, wonderful. So yeah, we really like the environmental ones where we can add loads of creativity.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. And I love the passion as well, Charlotte. That's, the authenticity. And just for Ofcom regulation rules, there's lots of other containers, there's lots of other mushrooms, there's lots of other fun guys. And actually, I was thinking about when you talked about mundane, because Jalf never laughs, right? So we could get a campaign going, can you get Jalf to laugh? And
He's laughing now.
Yeah.
got a picture, and everyone can go into his restaurants and see if they can get him to laugh. And if they get him to laugh, I don't know, they get a carafe of wine. Anyway, I'm a poet.
Would you like a job, Ammar?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got too many actually.
That's a brilliant campaign. We love rhyming.
Yeah, I don't know. Jalf and I used to body pop. He was in a different group, and I had my own lino. So then we rapped. Anyway, Charlotte, coming back to you, what gets you out of bed?
Usually my daughters. Yeah, in a literal sense, they're wanting to be up at sometimes 5 a.m. Although that said, I am an early bird. I love a good morning routine. So for example, this morning I was up, just woke up naturally around 5 o'clock, went down, actually did a bit of mindfulness meditation, just kind of tried to still my mind, which is always, as you can tell, speaking to me, it's a very tough task. My mind's just racing all over the place all the time, but I'm really working on trying to still it, focus kind of on my overall life objectives. And actually it was an amazing bright red sunset. So I went onto the grass, did a bit of grounding, absorbed or released electrons. I'm probably doing that a disservice. You can tell I'm quite spiritual, but then also really corporate. And I find the two sometimes a total mismatch. One of my worlds is totally full on, fast paced, talking all the time, social media, loads of tech, and then having the two girls, that's so full on, amazing. You have to be present for that. And then I try and calm my mind as well. So did a little bit of yoga as well, herbal tea, a green juice. So I'm painting this picture of health, but then sometimes, tonight I might just eat chips. But yes, I've forgotten what you asked me.
That's all right. That was what gets you out of bed.
Oh, so
okay, what's your why then?
Yeah, so
what's your why?
Yeah, I answered that very literally, but my why, it does go back to that, I think, of wanting to give people a voice, believing that people should be heard, because what people have to say could change the world for the better. Really kind of personally, I just want to fulfill my potential. I feel that we're given such amazing opportunity. I mean, the body that we're given, it can do incredible things, and I don't want to waste that. The minds that we're given, I don't want to waste that either. I want to fill it with knowledge. I want to explore everything it can do, and just live my life to the full, while also trying to achieve as much as I can, but also trying to rest, because that's important to achieving. It's hard.
No, I like it. And actually, that's probably one of my biggest gaps, I think, is that mindfulness element. Jalf, how much do you spend doing mindfulness?
Not as much as I should. Again, there's just too many things going on up there, so it's a matter of trying to find that time. But I do go regularly and train at the gym, and I guess that's the escapism where you do put yourself through the paces. And I'm beginning to learn and understand that if you put yourself through a certain level of physical endurance, and get that out of the way in the morning, then you are better for the rest of the day. And I think that everyone needs to have a bit of that. So 100% that does help you become more energized. And then you get, and as soon as that's done, you've got home, had the shower, left, then you begin to tackle the octopuses that attack you, and then get through the day far better.
It's true, isn't it? But it's, for me, I find it so hard. Well, obviously the girls are my priority, and they're so demanding time-wise, but just work-wise, get up sometimes at 5 a.m. It's easy to just think, I'll tackle the octopuses now. I'll just quickly get on my laptop. But then you find that you never get off your laptop, and then you never find time for the gym or going for a walk or anything like that.
Yeah, I must admit, my routine was getting up at 5, doing an hour's bit of work. Jalf, you have to disappear.
Because
No problem. Well, we've got Charlotte for a couple of minutes anyway, and then Alan's in the waiting room, it looks like. Before you go, Jalf, let's grimace at the screen even. Just big smiles. Beautiful. That went silent for our radio listeners, so I'm incredibly sorry. That was me taking a picture, so I apologize to our radio listeners. Charlotte, last minute, what does success look like? What's the future hold for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I definitely want to keep growing the business still. It's got, again, potential that I want to fulfill. But yeah, just being able to let go a little bit more, enjoy the journey, because there's always going to be the next thing that I want to achieve. And I just got to enjoy it and also embrace the messiness of it as well. I always just want things to be perfect and complete and finished and on to the next thing, but life's not like that. So I just want to embrace, live in the moment a little bit more, and find happiness, as cheesy as that sounds.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much. We'll be sharing this snippet on our LinkedIn, where we'll include links and things like that to follow up with you, Charlotte. Ofcom doesn't allow us to promote Harvey and Hugo, so I can't do that, is what I can't do. But we'll share those links separately. Thank you ever so much. And actually, I'm going to get you back on and dive into a topic, because we like sharing advice and guidance. So maybe let's drill down into that PR and marketing conversation and share some insights and knowledge on a particular topic next time, if that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed being on.
Nice to meet you, Charlotte.
Thank
Really
you.
to meet you,
Take care.
Good to see you, Ammar. Catch up with you soon.
All
Take
right.
care.
I'll see you tomorrow, Jalf. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye. Bye. Wonderful. There you have it. There's Jalf and Charlotte. Let's get Mr. Alan Curty. I don't know why he's called Alan Curty, but he is here. I will try and, I think he's here. Alan, are you there? Good morning. Hello. No, we've lost Mr. Alan. Alan Curry, are you there? Hello? Are you there? Oh, there you are. You do realize you're live on air, and there's a radio show. So if there's ever any silent, I'll get sacked. Hello? Alan, we can't hear you. Can you adjust your... Hello? Alan? Alan? Right, we're having some clear technical issues here with Alan. I think he's doing the hokey cokey with his computer. He might need to log off and log back on, maybe, I don't know. But unless he can set the volume and the audio, I don't think you've connected the audio yet. Alan, have you? Can you do that? Do you know how to do that? Anyway, it was wonderful to have Charlotte on the show. And Jalf, as I've said, Charlotte's an incredible person. You can just feel that authenticity that Charlotte has. Alan, are you there? Hello. Good morning. No, we can't hear you. You need to adjust your audio settings. I don't know how best you do that, but I am live on air, so I'm going to have to keep talking to make sure there aren't any. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, Charlotte from Harvey and Hugo, genuinely wonderful person, and curiously or coincidentally had interviewed me. If you haven't seen that interview, it's probably one of the most personal and private interviews that I've given. So Charlotte's incredibly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Oh, what a
Alan.
job with this technology, right? So we haven't got
Right.
much time.
Well,
So
we have,
obviously
we have, but just finish this sentence because I was just saying Charlotte's an incredibly wonderful person, being able to get people to share their voice. And if you haven't heard that interview, it's on PRsonal podcast. Check it out. It shares some real personal, sensitive stories about my upbringing and my experiences. So check that out. Anyway, over to our wonderful, amazing Mr. Alan
right.
Perry.
We've only got a couple of minutes.
Why are you
So
called
obviously I've
Curtis?
been listening to you and Jalf this morning. So coincidentally, when you talk about some of the issues that have been going on, I was at Hare Hills about 3 weeks ago before the riots.
You were
Right.
where?
Hare Hills in Leeds.
Oh, okay. So you caused it.
Well, there's a potential for that, yes. But
Okay, wonderful.
jokingly
Well done.
aside, the people I was with did say I was in the minority as a joke. The other side of things is some of the things you and Jalf and all of us do with ABC around inclusivity. We are way ahead of the game. And while some people might be able to see me now, at 18 years of age, I was working with Harry Shukla on what was then called race relations. And as a result of that, dare I say, strategic development, we are so removed from what's going on down south because of the inclusivity.
Explain that. Explain that.
We recognised early on, before any politicians got involved, that we're all human beings, and as a consequence, that word inclusivity, it's a hard one, but the actual reality is we all work together for the greater good of the Northeast. And there's no better promoter of the Northeast than yourself. But behind the scenes, and even predating you, we actually were working towards that, and we're now benefiting from that particular perspective, as opposed to what may be happening south of Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge, and I think you and I are aligned on this, in the sense of the challenge where inclusion and ADI is concerned is that it's been cannibalized. I'd use a slightly different word, but it might be slightly offensive. It starts with a B, and anyway, so consequently, as I was saying earlier on to Jalf, migrants, asylum policies, all of these, quite simply, they're not working, right? And then there's a huge cut in services, there's a huge cut in everything, and then there's all of this misinformation, and it creates this sort of hodgepodge, this boiling pot of emotion. And actually, it almost feels as if, like, there's been a hammer to the whole community, who some might want to share how they feel, and they're unable to now because they're going to get persecuted or prosecuted or whatever it is. And I feel as if we've moved. There was a banger that went off, right, a couple of weeks back. I'd describe that as a banger, but there's an IED, there's or UED, there's an unexploded incendiary device, like a big massive bomb that's underground, and I feel as if it's it's going to go off, not right now, but in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but I do think we're not sheltered from observations. But what I would say is, because of the foundations we put in place over 30, 40 years ago, we are in better placed to deal with it than some of the areas or regions that we see regularly in the news.
Yeah. Yes. As is, I agree. However, and there's a but, the but being communities like Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Hartlepool, they are incredibly divided, divisive. Yeah, I know firsthand, and actually, I talk about the business.
Of course.
You know, the business. Um, and 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 I publicly say this, and obviously I privately say it, but publicly, there was no better collaborative, cohesive place than the key core stakeholders in Sunderland. I'd never seen anything like it. You know, the football club, the council, the university, all coming together to make Sunderland a better place. There was division in Newcastle, but all that's happened is millions, billions of pounds worth of investment, but it never connected with those people getting off the buses at the top of Park Lane, Alan. If you remember those people coming up the top of the buses at Park Lane, you know, there was a grey cloud over the head, and that grey cloud still exists. So they feel disenfranchised, don't they?
You know what my main work was the last years was at Gateshead, and I always remember George Gill, who I loved to death, who was the council leader and then retired, always said, no matter how much investment you put in, you've got to recognise there is some aspects of deprivation. And then within the words of deprivation comes blaming other people. So as a consequence, sometimes you need, I'm not saying you need, sometimes people focus on things that appear to be the problem. And I'm not sure how you get above that. But in accepting personal experiences, and bear in mind when we worked together down in Sunderland, it was interesting because I'd never worked in Sunderland before, and it was a difficult area to create an entrepreneur environment because of what the expectations were.
I'm trying to be diplomatic. We've come to the end of the show. I think what we need to do is we need to pick this up because we need a platform to have these type of conversations. I was with the Police and Crime Commissioner yesterday, and we were having this conversation a little bit. Anyway, I'll see you later on today.
Well, we're doing later on, but you know I would love to be involved with it.
No, you are. So I'm going to send you. I need your feedback. I'm going to email you something now. Can you read this and feedback, please?
When this minute or later?
Right now. Well, no, I'm sending you something right now. Just when you get the chance to review and read it.
Right. Okay.
Do so. Anyway, you've been listening
and just
to
as a sideline, socially, is it 5 o'clock tonight?
Uncle Alan live on Uncle Alan. I think that's a great name, you know, because everyone respected from the police is what we did. Yes, sir. No, sir. It's 5:30, so I'll see you there at 5:30. Wonderful.
Okay, cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.